Hello and welcome to ASTROVISION. My name is Zachariah Adil and I'm your humble host on this journey as we look into some of the most prominent films, series and TV shows that are given to us by the mainstream media, usually the blockbusters, because there's a lot of encoded messages which we like to reveal. Today we are looking at the Terminator movies. So join me on this mini journey as we go through primarily the first two films, but we will be looking at some of the other films also. The Terminator film series is a sci-fi action saga centered on the central conflict between humanity and Skynet, a rogue artificial intelligence that triggers a nuclear apocalypse and wages war against human survivors. The series begins with The Terminator, where a cyborg assassin, Arnold Schwarzenegger, is sent back in time to kill Sarah Connor, whose unborn son, John Connor, will lead the resistance against Skynet. Sarah, aided by Kyle Reese, a soldier from the future, defeats the Terminator, setting the stage for the ongoing battle.
You're a terminated fucker.
In Terminator 2, Judgment Day, a reprogrammed Terminator protects a young John Connor from a more advanced T-1000, while Sarah fights to prevent Skynet's creation.
The Skynet funding bill is passed. The system goes online on August 4, 1997. Human decisions are removed from strategic defense. Skynet begins to learn at a geometric rate. It becomes self-aware at 2:14 a.m. Eastern Time, August 29th. In a panic, they try to pull the plug.
Skynet fights back.
Yes, it launches its missiles against the targets in Russia.
Why attack Russia? Aren't they our friends now?
Because Skynet knows that the Russian counterattack will eliminate its enemies over here.
Jesus.
Despite their efforts, subsequent films explore alternate timelines and attempts to alter or survive Skynet's rise. Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, reveals the inevitability of Judgment Day, while Terminator Salvation shifts focus to the post-apocalyptic war. The later films, Genesis and Dark Fate, attempt to reboot the timeline, introducing new characters while revisiting familiar themes of fate and resistance. Despite mixed reviews for its later entries, the series is celebrated for its groundbreaking effects, iconic performances, and its exploration of humanity's struggle against technology gone awry. At its core, the Terminator franchise is a cautionary tale about the consequences of unchecked technological advancement and the resilience of the human spirit. I wanted to look at the astrology and look at the names that they've given these characters because they are also significant. Now, Kyle is symbolic of Kol Hen, which means confidence, trust, reliance, and dedication. Reese means ardent, unwavering, dedication, enthusiasm, and of fire. So that's Kyle Reese's description in terms of his name. Sarah means princess, noblewoman. She was the wife of Abraham and mother of Isaac. She's perceived as the matriarch of the Jewish faith, which is interesting when you consider she gives birth to the chosen one. Connor means justice, master of wolves, lover of hounds. So again, Sarah and Connor, they're both sort of royal names. And then when we get John Connor, it means man, it means graced by God, strength, responsibility, and kindness. So those are the main characters and the names. Now let's have a look at the astrology, because astrology is very, very important in these types of films. And it's usually not a mistake. Sarah Connor, played by Linda Hamilton, is a monkey Libra. And this is one of the most determined charts of all. So you put somebody like that there. Kim Kardashian has this chart. Will Smith has this chart. Martina Navratilova has this chart. These are really powerful people with a strong sense of what they want to achieve. Obviously, Sarah Connor, when she starts, she's just a waitress, but you see her evolution into what she becomes, and you can see that personality is needed. Then let's have a look at Kyle Reese. Now, this was really interesting, and this was a bit of a surprise to me. And there's some questions around this that I still don't have the answer to myself. Kyle Reese is born on the 31st of July, 1956, the actor that plays him. And Michael Biehn is his name. Now, that date, 31st of July, that is Harry Potter's birthday. And in the books, Harry Potter is born on the 31st of July, 1980, which is also Monkey Year. 1956 is Monkey Year. So the father of the Chosen One has the same birthday or birth chart as Harry Potter in the books. And then when the child comes along, the Chosen One, the actor that plays that role, John Connor, is a guy called Edward Furlong, and his chart is Chinese Year of the Snake, and he's Leo. And Harry Potter, the actor that plays Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe, is also Chinese Year of the Snake, and he's Leo. That is one of the 4 Illuminati charts where they cast the Chosen One. So isn't that interesting with the added layer of the Kyle Reese date of birth? Now, I don't know why the monkey-Leo connection is there, although I do really, because Leo is the sun, is ruled by the sun, and their god is Nimrod, who is the sun child. Well, the sun child ultimately is Tammuz, but the Nimrod is the sun god. And then in the Chinese astrology, monkey also relates to Leo, so it's a double Leo. It's the double chart that's ruled doubly by the sun. So it is a significant chart. And even when you look at the Harry Potter thing, and you see he's got the same chart that doubles the sun child, it makes sense. Looking at Arnold Schwarzenegger's chart, he is a Boar Leo. Now, these people are very, very disciplined. We've got quite a lot of Boar Leo people when it comes to the superhero movies. The guy that plays Thor, Chris Hemsworth, is a Boar Leo. One of the Spider-Men, Andrew Garfield, is a Boar Leo. Because these people have a lot of discipline and staying power. So I think, and also self-sacrifice. There's a self-sacrifice thing to this chart. It's the chart before, the Boar Cancer, is the whistleblower chart. Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Corey Feldman. There's loads of them. So that's the peak of self-sacrifice in the terms of the Chinese astrological cycle. And so, that energy is still there in the Boar Leo also. So the first Terminator film came out in 1984, significant year, especially when you look at the content of what the film entails. The very first image is a tank crushing a bunch of skulls in the future. And what's interesting about that is it reminds me immediately of 1984 when George Orwell said, I've got the quote here, he said, "If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on the human face forever." And that tank going over those heads reminded me of that. And then when you see that the film came out in 1984, you make that connection and you're like, you get a feel for what's coming. So what happens in this first film is that they're sending 2 entities back from the future. One's human and one is a Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it's a discussion around the difference between an artificial intelligence or a machine, cyborg, and a human being, and the difference between how they function. So throughout the film, there's these discussions about what Kyle Reese, who's the human, how he discusses what Sarah Connor is facing, because she doesn't know, does she? So this is some of the things that he says a bit later on in the film. That Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear. It absolutely will not stop ever until you are dead. It was the defense network computers, new, powerful, hooked into everything, trusted to run it all. They say it got smart. Trusted to run it all. A new order of intelligence, and it saw all people as a threat, not just those on the other side. It decided our fate in a microsecond. Extermination. So there's that warning again. If we leave AI to its own devices to secure its own future, it will exterminate that which it feels is a threat. And to AI, these films are pointing to the fact that humans are the threat. What I found really interesting is that in the film, when we're introduced to Sarah Connor as a waitress, when she goes back home, she's got an iguana or a reptile creature. His name is Pugsley. And she says to it, "There you are, young man. You mind your mother." And I thought that was really interesting for two reasons. First of all, she said, basically what she's saying is, listen to your mother. So she's a mother of reptiles, or a reptile. And then she's also about to be impregnated by the chosen one, the savior of humanity. Is that a wink that maybe he's a reptilian being because he's the chosen one? These things aren't put in there for no reason. So I thought that was quite an interesting thing that they put in there. Some little bits that I found, which I thought were quite interesting. The name of the club that they're dancing in, where Sarah Connor first meets the Terminator, is called Tech Noir, which means dark technology. The model of the Terminator, the Cyberdyne systems model, is 101. Now we know that's also connected to 1984. It's like your worst nightmares come true if you're in room 101. And this is model 101. So Arnold Schwarzenegger is your worst nightmare in Terminator form. There's a section in the film, at about 52 minutes in, where the Terminator gives himself medical aid because he's been shot at. And we see the living flesh over the metal skeleton. So what I thought this was interesting for is because we get to see, this came out in 1984, we get to see the physical merger, not the merging, but the actual finished outcome of the human machine pulling the flesh down and seeing the metal skeleton underneath. It's still chilling now. I mean, the effects aren't great, when you see the fake head that they made, because he pulls his own eyeball out as well, and then you just see the red eye and the single eye, which again points to the Eye of Horus, the single eye. But what is interesting is that it's a nod to the Illuminati again. And throughout these films, they are there. And especially James Cameron films, I mean, he's clearly an insider. The numbers are interesting in this film. Not just the T101 that I mentioned, but the rooms that they're in have numbers on the doors. And James Cameron makes a point to show those numbers. At one point, Sarah Connor is hiding in a room with the number 2 on the door. Now, in the tarot, the number 2 of cups is the number of love, duality, two people coming together. And so that was my first inclination. And as she's hiding under the table, who comes in to save her? Kyle Reese. So these numbers aren't by accident either. Another thing that I noticed is the Terminators can emulate voices. When they're on the phone, when the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, is emulating the voice of Sarah Connor's mother.
I love you too, sweetheart.
And in the second films, of course, that happens a lot as well. So this voice emulation came out a few years ago. So now we've got these artificial intelligence programs, or just technology really, that you give it a sample of your voice and it can replicate your voice. So we have that technology now. Now let's turn our attention to Sarah Connor, the unlikely hero who transforms from a vulnerable waitress into a hardened warrior. Her journey reflects the psychological toll of knowing that humanity's future is on the brink of extinction. Sarah becomes increasingly paranoid, aware that she is constantly being hunted by forces outside of her control. Her descent into paranoia and obsession with preparing for the future suggests that knowledge of the future events, or the manipulation of that knowledge, can cause psychological breakdowns. This is a hidden message about the dangers of foreknowledge and the power of manipulation by those who hold knowledge of the future. Are we being manipulated by those who control information about what lies ahead? Now let's talk about time travel, a major theme in the Terminator series. Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor find themselves fighting to change history, but no matter how hard they try, Judgment Day seems inevitable. This raises the question, can we really alter history, or are we bound to repeat it? Is time travel just another tool used by those in power to control our futures? Time travel in the Terminator films represents the control of history. The characters often find themselves fighting against a future they cannot avoid, suggesting a conspiracy that history may be manipulated by those with the power to see into the future. Or even worse, that our very fates are already written. This idea of fate versus free will runs deep throughout the films. So I was trying to figure out when the future was, in these films. If this is 1984, at one point, Sarah Connor says, look, I'm not stupid, you know. They can't make these things like this yet. And Kyle Reese says, not yet, not for about 40 years. So that will be 2024. So what they're saying is this technology, this Terminator type, human-looking AI machines are not available until 2024. Well, we're there now, we're beyond that. So it's interesting to see what will come out. I mean, I know there's already some models that have come out, but they're probably behind in technology. You know, they're far further along in technology. I mean, the fact that they make this movie in 1984 suggests that some of this technology was probably already around back then. At about 1 hour and 8 minutes into the film, these drones are hovering around the city, threateningly. This is in the future. And they just, well, interestingly, if it's in the future, 2024 or 2025, around this sort of time, I think somebody was saying it's between 2024 and 2027 that this future is supposed to take place. And the drones are hovering around the resistance that they're trying to sort of get away. And what they're there for is they're there for surveillance purposes and also as a weapon. So if they want to get rid of you, they'll get rid of you. And look at what's happening in America with these drones that are just hanging around. I wonder whether this is the start of something. Let's get them used to this. Let's get them, they've already done the pre-programming by putting these into films like this and films like The Hunger Games. And now it's started for real. Where is this headed? Where is this headed? At the heart of the Terminator saga is Skynet, the self-aware artificial intelligence that initiates the Judgment Day, an apocalyptic event that eradicates humanity. But this isn't just the plot of a sci-fi movie. This is the representation of a very real conspiracy theory that explores the dangers of unchecked AI development. Skynet's rise isn't just fictional. It serves as a chilling warning about how our own technological advancements could spiral out of control. In the Terminator universe, Skynet represents the darkest fears of technology gone rogue. It's the fear that machines once given the power to make decisions will self-preserve and exterminate humanity. This is the AI apocalypse, a warning about a future where technology becomes uncontrollable and turns on its creators. Skynet becomes self-aware and is this artificial intelligence that does everything it can to protect itself and to get rid of its perceived enemies. Now, what if there was a parallel between that and Starlink? Because we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but they seem to be a few steps ahead of us in terms of the knowledge that they have, and also the esoteric knowledge that they have. Esotericism and technology seem very connected, and these films point to that also. Enter Cyberdyne Systems, the company responsible for creating Skynet. The connection between the military-industrial complex and the rise of artificial intelligence is impossible to ignore. The film suggests that private corporations, driven by profit and military contracts, can inadvertently, or purposefully, create weapons capable of destroying humanity. Cyberdyne serves as a stand-in for real-world corporations driving military technology forward with little to no oversight. The idea that these companies, motivated by profits and power, could be responsible for the end of the world represents a conspiracy theory about corporate control over powerful technologies. These military-industrial complexes are no longer just fighting wars. They're playing with the future of humankind itself. One of the most powerful symbols throughout the Terminator franchise is the Terminator skull, a haunting reminder of the machine's victory over humanity. It represents death, but not just any death. It symbolizes the dehumanization brought on by our reliance on machines. As the Terminator skull crushes all who stand in its path, it represents the ultimate end of human autonomy and the rise of the machines. The skull is more than just a terrifying image. It symbolizes the potential future we may face if artificial intelligence continues unchecked. The skull's cold mechanical nature reminds us of the potential loss of humanity in the face of an overwhelming technological force. And as we increasingly integrate AI into our lives, the Terminator skull warns us of what might lie ahead. Then there's the theme of cyborgs, hybrids of human and machine. embodied by characters like Marcus Wright in Terminator Salvation. These cyborgs represent the blurring of lines between human and machine, raising concerns about the future of human evolution. Marcus symbolizes the future of human evolution, cybernetic augmentation. But it's not just about improving human bodies, it's about the loss of human identity. The more we merge with machines, the more we risk losing what it means to be human. Are we seeing a glimpse of a conspiracy that suggests human beings are slowly being transformed into machines to ensure their survival in a world run by AI? The conspiracies and symbols in these films serve as a warning, not just about the future, but about our present relationship with technology. Judgment Day is perhaps the most significant event in the entire Terminator series. A nuclear apocalypse triggered by Skynet's rise. No matter how hard the characters try to prevent it, Judgment Day seems inevitable. This presents a conspiracy theory about the inevitability of war, especially nuclear conflict, and the belief that we are on a predetermined path towards self-destruction. Judgment Day symbolizes the ultimate self-destruction of humanity, an inevitable war that we can't escape. Is this a reflection of our fears about our own future? Are we on the brink of a world where technology, once designed to help us, will inevitably bring about our end? This message seems clear. Humanity's fate is sealed by the very technologies we create. Despite all the obstacles the resistance continues to fight, the war for humanity's survival is ongoing. But the Terminator series asks a question we all must consider. Can we fight the machines, or will we eventually become them? Are we creating our saviors or our destroyers? The Terminator saga leaves us with a chilling thought. Perhaps the true conspiracy is the belief that we can control the machines we've built without facing the consequences. There is a bit of a difference between the first Terminator film and the second one. Whereas the first one thematically was focused upon the difference between a human entity and a artificial intelligence entity, the second film really looked at fatherhood. So if you look at the thematic setup of the second Terminator film that came out in 1991, you see that it's the good Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator is learning how to feel throughout the process. He learns how and why you would have paternal love, paternal responsibility. When he comes, his responsibility is, this is how he's been programmed. But by the end, when he sacrifices himself for John Connor, he does it out of a fatherly love. And you see them two building the relationship throughout the film. And it's really quite beautiful. This is the thing about films, the storytelling. It really gets you here, and you have to focus for it to get you here as well. So I love these films. I really love these films. Terminator 2 is one of my favorite films. It would be in my top 10 of all-time favorite films, and I've seen it so many times because the effects are great, the story is fantastic, it engages you, and also thematically, it's emotionally powerful too. So I love these films, and I really hope that if you haven't seen them, because obviously they came out a while ago, do check them out and see how you feel. And also message me, leave comments underneath on the boards to let me know what you think. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me, and I will see you next time on AstroVision. Bye-bye.